I thought my home was safe, until I opened the bedroom door and saw them. It was supposed to be an ordinary night, quiet, warm, and filled with the smell of the dinner I'd just finished cooking. The candles on the table flickered softly, waiting for Mark to come home. I even laid out his favorite dish, the one he always said reminded him of our early days together. Tonight I wanted to surprise him. Emily, our daughter, had just texted she'd be home early from college. I couldn't wait to see his face when I told him. But as I walked down the hallway toward our bedroom, I heard laughter. Not just any laughter. Soft, playful. Familiar in a way that didn't belong to me anymore. I froze for a second, thinking maybe he was watching something funny on TV. But the sound, it wasn't coming from the living room. It was coming from behind our door. I frowned, whispering to myself, that can't be right. My hand hesitated on the doorknob. Then I smelled it. The scent of Lily's perfume. Sweet, heavy, unmistakable. She'd been living with us for a few weeks after her breakup, and I'd welcomed her. She was my sister, my blood. I'd told her this house was her safe place, but that scent didn't belong in my bedroom. A wave of nausea hit me. I pushed the door open an inch, and the laughter stopped. Then came a low whisper. Mark's voice. Shh, it's fine. She's downstairs. I held my breath. Every cell in my body screamed to turn around, but something inside me needed to see, needed proof of what my gut already knew. I took one slow step forward and switched on the flashlight on my phone. The beam cut through the dark, and there they were. Lily froze, clutching the blanket to her chest. Mark's eyes went wide, his body half covered, half caught in shame. For a long second, no one spoke. The only sound was the tiny click of my phone light trembling in my hand. My voice came out soft, shaking. Mark, Lily, what is this? He sat up quickly, his face pale. It's not what it looks like, he stammered. Not what it looks like? My words broke somewhere between a laugh and a sob. Then tell me what it is, because I'm standing here, and I don't see anything else. Lily started crying, her voice small, fragile. Please don't tell Emily, she whispered. It was a mistake. I stared at her. The sister I shared a childhood with, the woman who cried on my shoulder just weeks ago. My heart pounded so hard I could barely breathe. A mistake? I whispered. You made a mistake in my bed with my husband? Mark ran a hand through his hair, sweat glistening at his temples. It just happened, okay? We didn't plan it. You've been so busy, so distant. Stop. I raised my hand. Don't you dare make this about me. He looked like he wanted to reach for me, to fix it somehow with a touch. I stepped back before he could. My whole world, the laughter, the dinners, the years, collapsed in a single suffocating moment. Lily sobbed louder. Please don't hate me. I swear I didn't mean, but I didn't want to hear it. I couldn't. Every word from her mouth felt like acid. I turned away, gripping the door frame to steady myself. The room spun. For a second, I thought I might faint. I saw Mark's shirt lying crumpled near the bed, his watch on the nightstand, the sheets tangled in a way I'd never seen them before. The air reeked of betrayal, of them. He said my name softly, almost pleading. Please, let's talk about this. I laughed then. It was a sound I didn't recognize, sharp, broken. Talk? I said. You want to talk? You and my sister can talk all you want. I'm done listening, he tried again. It was one mistake, I swear to you. Don't destroy our family over... I turned on him, my voice shaking but steady. Destroy our family? You already did that, Mark. The silence that followed felt heavier than any scream. Lily hid her face in her hands. Mark's eyes darted from me to the floor. Desperate, useless, and then something inside me just went still. The rage, the pain, it all froze into something cold. I stepped closer to the door, my phone light still on, capturing their faces. The way guilt sat on them like a shadow. I wanted them to see the version of me they had created. Not the soft wife or forgiving sister, but the woman they had pushed too far. I whispered, voice low but clear. You'll both wish I never saw this. Then I turned off the light, stepped out, and slammed the door behind me so hard the frame shook. In that echo, something inside me broke, and something else woke up. Because that night, I stopped being the woman who trusted too easily, and I started being the one who would make them regret it. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just cleaned the table while my hands trembled. The candles still burned, their wax melting in uneven rivers, dripping onto the white tablecloth I'd set hours ago. Dinner sat untouched, Mark's favorite dish, now cold and lifeless, like the house itself. The silverware glimmered in the dim light, mocking me with its quiet perfection. Every corner of the kitchen felt foreign, hollow. I had built this home with love, every detail meant for warmth. But tonight everything felt poisoned. From down the hallway I could hear it, the steady knocking on the bedroom door. His voice strained and desperate. "Please, Sarah, just let me explain." I didn't answer. I wiped the table again and again, as if I could scrub away what I'd seen upstairs. But nothing would ever be clean enough. Then another sound. A door slamming. That would be Lily locking herself in the guest room. Good. She couldn't even face me. My phone buzzed on the counter. I stared at it, hoping for a distraction. It was a reminder from the bank. A joint account notification. Something inside me told me to look. I opened the app, scrolling through recent transactions. There it was. A hotel booking 2 weeks ago. Jewelry store charges. A boutique I'd never visited. My heart pounded. My vision blurred for a moment. I whispered to myself, "You were doing this long before tonight." I walked slowly into the living room, where his jacket hung over the chair. His phone sat in the pocket. I hesitated, then pulled it out. The screen lit up instantly and no password. He must have thought he'd have time to erase things later. The first message I saw made my stomach twist. "Can't stop thinking about last night. You make me feel alive again." From Lily. I scrolled further. Weeks of messages, pictures, plans, lies. And then I saw a photo. A silver bracelet. The caption read, "You deserve something special, my love." I recognized it immediately. I'd helped Lily pick it up from the mail 2 days ago. I laughed under my breath, though it came out like a sob. "He used our money," I said quietly. "He used our money to buy her gifts." The knocking started again. Louder now. "Sarah, please. Don't do this!" "You can't ruin our family over one mistake." His words hit like stones. I gripped the phone tighter. When I finally spoke, my voice was cold, sharp, no trace of the woman I was before. "You already did, Mark." There was silence on the other side. I opened the drawer by the sink, searching for something solid to hold onto. Not a weapon, just something real. My fingers brushed against old receipts. I pulled them out one by one. Jewelry, dinners, flowers. His signature at the bottom of each. I laid them flat on the counter, my eyes scanning every date, every total, evidence. Then, something shifted inside me. The shock was gone. The shaking stopped. What replaced it was focus. Clear, cold, powerful. I picked up my phone again, opened the camera, and started taking photos. The receipts, the text messages, the bracelet photo, all of it. Every secret he thought would stay hidden, now preserved. He knocked once more, softer this time. "Please, let's talk. Don't do anything you'll regret." I didn't move. I just stared at the camera screen as it clicked again and again. "I'm not the one who should regret anything," I whispered. When I finished, I opened a new message to Emily. My heart ached as I typed. "Don't come home tonight, sweetheart. Stay with a friend. I'll explain tomorrow." I hovered over send for a moment, tears finally filling my eyes. She didn't deserve any of this, none of it. Then I pressed send. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the windows. The clock on the wall ticked louder with every second. I gathered all the evidence into a folder, slipped it into my bag, and turned off the kitchen lights. The knocking had stopped. The house was finally silent, except for the faint creak of the floor as I walked back to my room. I glanced at the clock on my nightstand. 11:58 p.m. 2 minutes to midnight. I stood there for a long time, staring into the dark, my voice just a whisper. "Tomorrow," I said, "everything changes." And for the first time that night, I believed it. My daughter came home early anyway, and she saw the tension before I could hide it. The morning sunlight spilled into the living room, soft and golden, but it only made the silence sharper, like light reflecting off a knife. The clock ticked too loudly. My husband sat on the couch, pretending to read the newspaper he hadn't turned in 5 minutes. Lily's coffee mug was still warm on the table, lipstick mark and all. And me, I was standing by the window holding a dish towel, pretending to clean what was already spotless. The front door clicked open. "Mom?" Emily's voice, bright, unexpected, cut through the heavy air. She was supposed to come home tonight. I had planned to clear everything by then, to make the living room normal again, to erase Lily's presence from every corner. But she was here now, earlier than I expected, her suitcase rolling over the tiles, her smile fading as soon as she stepped in. Her eyes darted from me to her father, then to the coffee mug. Did I interrupt something? My husband lowered the newspaper too slowly, his lips forming a careful smile. "Of course not, sweetheart. Just morning coffee," Emily hesitated. Her instinct, sharp as her mother's, didn't buy it. She'd always been able to smell lies the way others smell perfume. She took another step forward, her gaze scanning the room. Then she froze. On the couch, half buried beneath a cushion, lay Lily's necklace. The gold chain glimmered softly in the sunlight, the tiny heart pendant turning in lazy circles. I felt my chest tighten. I had told Lily to take it with her. She must have dropped it when she left in a hurry. Emily's expression changed. Confusion first, then realization. "Is Aunt Lily here?" she asked. I swallowed. "She stopped by. Just for a minute." My husband coughed too quickly. "Your aunt's just upset. Nothing for you to worry about." Emily tilted her head. "Upset about what?" His fingers trembled as he folded the newspaper. I could almost hear the paper crinkle under the weight of his lie. "Just family stuff. You know how your aunt can be." Lily chose that exact moment to walk out of the hallway, her hair unbrushed, her eyes red-rimmed. She froze when she saw Emily. "Oh, you're back." Emily blinked, caught between joy and suspicion. "I thought you were staying in Toronto." "I was," Lily muttered, grabbing her purse. Change of plans. She avoided my eyes, avoided everyone's eyes, and practically fled toward the door. "Lily, wait," I called, but the door slammed shut behind her. Silence fell again. The air felt heavy, fragile. Emily turned to me slowly. "Mom? Yes? What's going on?" Her tone wasn't angry, not yet, just careful, cautious, like someone approaching a wild animal, unsure if it would bite. I forced a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Sweetheart, not everything needs an explanation. Sometimes people just misunderstand each other." She studied me, lips pressing into a thin line. "You're not telling me everything." I tried to change the subject. "You must be tired from the trip. Let's have breakfast. I made pancakes." "Mom." Her voice stopped me cold. She stepped closer, her eyes locked on mine. "Why does it feel like everyone's lying?" My throat tightened. I wanted to protect her. That had always been my goal. Shield her from the ugliness, the betrayal, the cracks forming beneath our home. But in doing so, I had become part of the deception. "Sometimes," I said quietly, "the truth hides in plain sight. But it only shows itself when it's ready." She frowned. "That sounds like something you'd say when you're hiding something." I laughed softly, brittle, nervous. "Emily, you read too much into things." "Do I?" she whispered. Her eyes drifted to the necklace again. Her father stood up, trying to salvage control. "Emily, enough. Your aunt was just upset about something personal. It has nothing to do with us." "Nothing to do with us," she repeated slowly, her voice tightening. "Then why is Mom acting like she's walking on glass?" He sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Can we not do this first thing in the morning?" I looked at both of them, my husband's irritation, Emily's worry, and I felt the weight of the secret pressing against my ribs. "Emily," I said, my voice trembling, "sometimes people wear masks, even the ones you love, and sometimes it's better not to trust appearances." The words slipped out before I could stop them. Her eyes widened. "What does that mean?" I shook my head quickly. "Nothing, I just meant things aren't always what they seem." But it was too late. The slip had cracked something open. She studied me for a long, unbearable silence. Then she whispered almost to herself, "Don't trust appearances." Her gaze moved between me and her father. Something inside her shifted, the way a shadow stretches when light changes. "Mom," she said softly, stepping closer until I could feel her breath. "I think I already know." The words landed like ice water. What do you mean?" I asked, but she didn't answer. She just looked at me, not with anger, not even fear, but with quiet, heartbreaking understanding. Then she turned away, her eyes glistening in the morning light, and walked down the hall without another word. The sound of her footsteps faded, but her words lingered in the silence. "I think I already know." And in that moment, I realized the truth was no longer hiding. It was standing right in front of us, waiting to be spoken. I didn't tell her what happened. She found out on her own. I heard her bedroom door close hours ago, but the silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence that vibrates, that carries weight, the calm before something terrible breaks. The house felt too still. My husband had gone to work, pretending as though nothing had happened, pretending that his sins were invisible in daylight. I sat in the kitchen, hands wrapped around a cold cup of tea, listening for any sound from upstairs. Then it came, a sharp gasp. I froze. Another sound followed, the scrape of a chair, a choked sob that sliced through the quiet. My legs moved before my mind caught up, carrying me up the stairs and to her door. "Emily?" I called softly. "Sweetheart, are you okay?" No answer. I pushed open the door. She was sitting at her desk, her laptop open, her phone in her hand. Her eyes, wide, trembling and full of disbelief, lifted to meet mine. "Mom," she whispered, voice breaking. I wasn't snooping, I swear." My heart sank. "What happened?" She turned the screen toward me. For a moment, I didn't breathe. On the screen, photos, dozens of them. Lily's face, Lily's body, Lily in our home, on our couch, smiling, sometimes at the camera, sometimes at him. Each image was another knife. "I synced Dad's phone to the cloud last year," Emily said through shaking breaths. "He never turned off the backup. They've been saving automatically. I just wanted to check the family photos. I didn't expect." Her voice cracked, tears falling onto the keyboard. "Mom, these are dated weeks ago. He said he was working late." The timestamps glowed in the corner of the screen, cruel and precise. Every night he'd come home tired, smelling of aftershave and guilt. Every time he'd said, "You worry too much." He hadn't been working. He'd been with her. I felt my throat close. "Oh, Emily." She looked at me, confusion twisting into pain. "He did this to you, to us?" Her words shattered something inside me. I wanted to deny it, to protect her from this ugliness. But there was no lie that could soften what she'd seen. "Yes," I whispered. "He did." Emily covered her face with her hands, her shoulders shaking. "How could he? She's your sister, my aunt. How could he even—" I knelt beside her, placing a trembling hand on her arm. "There are no answers that make sense. People destroy what they love without understanding why." She looked up at me through tears, eyes red and fierce. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I wanted to protect you," I said softly. "Because I wasn't ready to see you hurt like this." Her voice broke again. "But I am hurt. I know." I brushed her hair back gently. "And I am too. But we'll handle this our way. Not with shouting, not with chaos. With dignity." Emily's breathing slowed, though her hands still trembled. She stared at the screen for a long moment, then clicked through the photos one by one, her expression hardening with each image. Finally she said, "He looked happy in these." I swallowed the ache in my throat. "Yes, he did." She turned to me, eyes sharp now, no longer just hurt, but burning with something deeper. "Did he even apologize?" "No," I whispered. "He lies to keep peace he doesn't deserve." Emily stared down at her hands. "When I was little, he told me love was about loyalty." "It still is," I said quietly. "He just forgot the meaning." We sat there together in silence, mother and daughter bound by the same wound. The light from the screen flickered across her face, highlighting the shift, the innocence fading, the resolve forming. I reached for her hand, but she didn't move. Instead, she closed the laptop slowly and looked at me with steady calm. "You're not going to confront him, are you?" "Not yet," I said. "Timing matters. The truth will find its own voice." She nodded once. "You're right," but something in her tone made my stomach twist. "Emily?" She met my eyes, calm, eerily calm. "If he destroyed this family, then he should understand what it feels like to lose everything." I shook my head, alarmed. "Sweetheart, don't—" She stood, wiping her tears, her voice almost steady now. "No yelling, no drama. Just consequences. Emily, what are you thinking?" She turned toward the door, her expression unreadable. "You said we'd handle it our way with dignity." "Yes." She smiled faintly, the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "Then let me be the one to punish him." The air left my lungs. "Emily, please." But she was already walking away, calm and deliberate, as if every step carried a plan. The door closed softly behind her, and I sat there frozen, staring at the dim screen where the images still lingered, silent proof of betrayal, of love turned poison. Downstairs, I heard the faint hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the clock, and then the distant sound of the front door unlocking. He was home early, and this time, it wasn't me who had to hide the truth. My daughter's calm scared me more than her anger. That night, the house was cloaked in quiet. Not peace, the kind of quiet that holds its breath before a storm. The soft hum of the fridge, the occasional creak of the floorboards, the faint ticking of the clock. Every sound seemed sharper than usual. Emily sat on the living room floor, her laptop open, her phone beside her. The blue light flickered across her face, making her look older, colder than her age. I stood by the doorway, unsure whether to interrupt or simply watch her transform into something fierce and deliberate. "Emily," I whispered, "it's late. You should rest." She didn't look up. "I can't sleep. Not until I know exactly what I'm dealing with." Her tone made my chest tighten. "What are you doing?" She finally met my eyes. "Gathering proof. You said dignity, not silence." I stepped closer, uneasy. "Proof?" She nodded. If we confront them, they'll deny it. They'll twist every word. But if we record it, if we show everyone who they really are, then they can't lie their way out. Her words hit me with both pride and fear. Pride because she was strong. Fear because that strength carried a dangerous calm. "Emily," I said softly, "revenge can destroy more than it heals." She gave a small, tired smile. "It's not revenge, Mom. It's justice." The way she said it chilled me. We waited in silence until we heard the familiar sound of the front door closing. My husband was home. His footsteps echoed faintly through the hallway. Emily leaned close and whispered, "Watch." She took a small black device from her pocket, a voice recorder. She clicked it on, tested it, then slipped it inside her hoodie. "Where are you going?" I asked, alarm rising in my chest. "Guest room," she said. "Lily's in there talking to someone. I heard her on the phone earlier." She sounded nervous. I followed quietly as Emily crept toward the guest room. The door was slightly open. Lily's voice drifted out, low, shaky, almost panicked. "I know it was stupid, but he said he'd leave her," Lily whispered. I didn't think she'd walk in like that. No, she didn't tell Emily, not yet. "But it's falling apart." Emily and I exchanged a glance. I felt my pulse in my throat. Lily continued, her words spilling faster now. "He's been distant since that night. He keeps saying he's just trying to fix things for now. He doesn't love her. He just needs her money, the house, the image. Once things calm down, he'll leave." My stomach twisted. Emily's hand clenched around the doorknob, but I caught her wrist before she could push it open. She looked at me, trembling with rage. I shook my head slowly. "Not yet," I mouthed. We stepped back into the hallway, hearts pounding until Lily's voice faded. Emily stopped the recorder and held it up, her face unreadable. "We got her," she whispered. But the night wasn't done revealing its cruelty. A few minutes later, from the kitchen, we heard my husband's voice, low, frustrated, talking to someone on speakerphone. Emily gestured for me to stay quiet, then set her phone near the corner wall where the sound carried best. "No, I can't just leave her right now," he was saying. "If I walk out, she'll take everything. I just need her to forgive me, at least publicly. Keep things normal for a while, for appearance's sake." There was a pause. Then his voice lowered further. "Once it's over, I'll handle Lily however I have to. She's getting clingy." The words hit me like glass shattering in my chest. Emily closed her eyes and exhaled sharply. He's worse than I thought. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. For so long I'd wondered if I was losing my mind. If maybe I'd misread his distance, his late nights, his sighs. But hearing his voice, that cold calculation, killed whatever love I had left. Emily pressed stop on her phone and whispered, "We have enough." "No," I said after a long moment. My voice was shaking but steadier than I felt. "We'll make sure it's undeniable." She looked at me confused. "How?" I met her eyes. "Tomorrow they'll both try to pretend again. Let them, we'll act normal. We'll smile, and while they think we've forgiven them," she finished my sentence, "we'll expose them." A slow, grim smile spread across her face. "He thinks we're weak." I nodded, my anger settling into something sharper, a calm born from exhaustion and truth. "Then let's show him what strength looks like." We spent the next hour copying files, syncing recordings, saving them to cloud drives. Every click of the keyboard felt like reclaiming a piece of my voice. The weight of humiliation began to lift, replaced by clarity. When the last file was saved, Emily leaned back in her chair, staring at the flickering candlelight across the room. "He used to call me his little girl," she said quietly. "I used to believe him." I reached for her hand. "He lost the right to that." She nodded slowly. "Then tomorrow he'll lose everything else too." The clock ticked past midnight. The house was silent again. But it wasn't the silence of pain this time. It was the silence of resolve. Emily picked up the recorder one last time, her fingers brushing the worn edges. She turned it on, her expression steady. "This is for you, Dad," she said softly into the mic. "For every lie, every night you thought we wouldn't find out." I swallowed hard. Then she looked at me, her eyes calm, her voice cold. "Tomorrow," she said, pressing record again. "The world sees who you really are." He came home smiling, unaware the camera was rolling. The dining table was beautifully set, candles flickering, roasted chicken glistening under the warm lights, the scent of garlic and rosemary filling the air. It looked like a picture-perfect family dinner. Relatives had arrived for the weekend, laughing in the living room, pouring wine, telling stories. No one sensed the storm about to break. I stood in the kitchen doorway, watching him walk in with that same practiced charm. His shirt neatly pressed, hair perfectly combed, the image of a faithful husband and responsible man. "Smells amazing," he said cheerfully, kissing my cheek. His lips brushed my skin like a cold lie. I'm glad everyone's here. It's been a while since we had a real family evening. I smiled faintly. Yes, I said. It's been too long. Emily sat at the table, her expression unreadable. She scrolled through her phone, pretending to be distracted. But I could see the tension in her shoulders, the calm before impact. He didn't notice. He never noticed what didn't revolve around him. A few minutes later, Lily arrived. She looked nervous, her hands trembling slightly as she placed her purse down. She avoided my eyes completely. When she finally glanced at Emily, the girl's stare froze her in place. Sorry I'm late, Lily murmured. Don't worry, I said softly. You made it just in time. We all sat down. Glasses clinked. Chairs scraped. My husband began his favorite act, the loving man who always had everything under control. I'm grateful for all of you, he began, raising his glass. Family is what keeps us grounded. Through good and bad, we stand together. Emily's lips curved into something close to a smile, but her eyes were pure steel. Yes, Dad, she said evenly. Family should be about honesty too, right? He blinked, momentarily thrown off. Of course, he said with a light laugh. Honesty, trust, love. That's the foundation. Good, Emily said quietly. Then let's be honest. The room went still. The chatter died. Every relative looked between them, sensing something was off. My heart pounded in my chest, but I didn't speak. I just watched. Emily tapped her phone. The faint click of Bluetooth connecting filled the silence. Then, a familiar voice echoed through the dining room speakers. Lily's voice. I didn't think she'd walk in like that. No, she didn't tell Emily, not yet. But it's falling apart. The sound froze every person at that table. Forks stopped midair. My husband's color drained instantly. Then came his voice, cold, calculating. I just need her to forgive me, at least publicly. Keep things normal for a while. For appearance's sake, someone gasped. My aunt's hand flew to her mouth. Lily's eyes widened, her face turning pale as wax. The recording ended in heavy silence. My husband's chair screeched as he stood up. Turn that off, he barked. This is out of context. It's fake. Emily's gaze didn't waver. You think I'd fake your voice? He turned to me, desperate now. Tell them, honey. Tell them this is all a misunderstanding. We can talk privately. I rose slowly, my voice low but steady. You made it public the moment you brought her into our home. He froze. The words hit him harder than any slap could. You don't deserve this, family, Emily said, her voice trembling but strong. Not after what you did to Mom. Not after what you did to me. He reached for her hand, his voice softening. Emily, please. I made a mistake. I love you. She jerked away. Don't you dare say that word. Lily stood up suddenly, tears streaking her face. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Then why did you stay? Emily shot back. Why did you keep coming back to this house, smiling at us, pretending? Lily sobbed, clutching her purse. I was lonely, okay? He said he'd leave her. He said it was love. The relatives stared, horrified. The whispers began. My husband's mask cracked completely. You promised you wouldn't say anything. He hissed at Lily under his breath. Stop, I said sharply. All of you. Enough lies. I turned to our stunned relatives. This is what's been happening in my home. The man you see sitting here, the one who speaks of family, betrayed his vows. And my sister helped him. Gasps rippled around the table. My cousin stood up, muttering, I can't believe this. He tried to speak again, reaching toward me. We can fix this. There's nothing left to fix, I said firmly. Just consequences. Emily picked up her phone again. Her thumb hovered over the camera app. You always told me, Dad, that truth sets people free. So tonight let's free everyone. He stepped back, his voice cracking. Emily, don't, please. But she had already pressed record. The camera lens caught everything. His panic, Lily's guilt, the shocked faces around the table. I stood motionless, my heart steady for the first time in months. I had cried, suffered, doubted, but not anymore. Watching his facade crumble in front of witnesses felt like reclaiming my dignity piece by piece. The dinner was over. The show was done. Lily stumbled to her feet and ran toward the door, sobbing. The room erupted in murmurs and half-whispered disbelief. Emily followed her, holding the phone steady, the red recording light still glowing. Emily, I started, but my voice caught in my throat. She didn't turn back. She just looked over her shoulder once, her voice clear and steady. Don't worry, Mom, she said. I'll make sure the world knows what kind of man he really is. The door slammed behind her, the sound echoing through the stunned silence, and for the first time in years, I let myself breathe. My daughter didn't scream. She just handed my sister a suitcase. That moment felt unreal, as if the years of heartbreak, deceit, and humiliation had dissolved into the crisp morning air. The sun was just rising, brushing gold across the quiet driveway. Emily stood tall, calm, and unshaken. Her face was unreadable, her hands steady. In contrast, my sister Lily stood barefoot on the gravel, her robe clinging to her like a guilty flag. My husband, Mark, shuffled beside her, his suitcase already packed. I didn't have to say a word. Emily had taken over everything. "Emily," Mark said softly, forcing a smile. "I think we should talk." "You're upset, sweetheart." Emily's voice was sharp but composed. "No, I'm done talking." She gestured toward the house. "The locks have already been changed." "You can't come back," Mark blinked, stunned. "What do you mean you changed the locks?" "You can't." "She can," I said quietly. "It's her house now." The neighbors had started to peek from behind their curtains, a small, curious audience watching our family unravel in the open. Emily didn't care. She stood in front of the car like a soldier guarding a line that would never be crossed again. Lily stepped forward, eyes wet. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice trembling. "I was lonely. I didn't mean for any of this to happen." You thought what?" Emily's tone cut through the morning chill. "That sleeping with my father would fix your loneliness? That destroying my mother's trust would make you feel whole again?" Lily looked down. "It was a mistake." Emily took a deep breath and looked between them. "No," she said softly. "It was a choice. And now you both live with it." Mark's expression shifted from guilt to desperation. "I have nowhere to go," he muttered. "Please, let's just figure this out. We can—" Emily interrupted, pulling a thin envelope from her bag. "Already figured it out," she said, handing it to him. "Divorce papers. Signed and dated. All you have to do is finish them." He didn't move. He just stared at the papers like they were made of fire. "This isn't fair," he whispered. Emily tilted her head slightly. "Fair? You taught me what kind of man never to marry. For that, I guess." "Thank you." Her words hit him harder than any scream could. I felt my chest tighten. Not with anger anymore, but something gentler. Relief, maybe. Peace. The storm that had raged for months was finally quiet. I looked at Lily one last time. She was trembling, arms wrapped around herself, refusing to meet my eyes. "Goodbye, both of you," I said simply. We turned toward the car. Emily opened the door for me like she used to when she was little. Only this time, she wasn't the child who needed protection. She was the protector. As we pulled out of the driveway, the rearview mirror caught a last glimpse of Mark and Lily standing together, but apart, each looking in a different direction. The neighbors' curtains fluttered shut again, their curiosity satisfied. The show was over. The road stretched ahead, sunlight flickering through the trees. I didn't know where we were going yet, only that it was forward. Emily kept her eyes on the road, her knuckles tight around the steering wheel. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The silence wasn't heavy this time. It was healing. Finally, she exhaled and said quietly, "Mom, now we start over, without lies." I turned to her, my eyes stinging with quiet tears. "Yes," I whispered, "without lies." The words hung between us like a promise. Behind us, the past was collapsing in slow motion, a house filled with echoes and betrayal. Ahead of us, the dawn stretched wide and endless. Emily reached over and took my hand. "We'll be okay," she said. And for the first time in a long time, I believed her. We drove on, leaving behind the ghosts of what was, and moving toward the life that could finally, mercifully, begin. Silence used to hurt me. Now it feels like freedom. Those words echoed in my mind as I sat by the small window of our new apartment, a cup of tea warming my hands. It wasn't a big place. 2 rooms, a modest kitchen, a balcony that overlooked a row of maple trees, but it was ours. The kind of space where every corner whispered peace instead of tension. The old house had been too big, too full of memories and lies. Here the walls didn't remember shouting. They didn't echo betrayal. They just stood quietly, holding the scent of fresh paint and hope. Emily walked out of her room, hair tied in a loose bun, smiling in that soft way that always reminded me of the little girl she once was. "You're up early," she said. "I couldn't sleep," I admitted. "The quiet kept me awake." She laughed lightly. "You'll get used to it. This kind of quiet is good for us," I nodded. She was right. For the first time in years, silence didn't mean the calm before another fight. It meant peace. The phone buzzed on the table. Mark's name flashed across the screen for a second before disappearing. I didn't answer. I never did anymore. Some bridges weren't meant to be rebuilt. A part of me used to ache for closure. But now I understood that closure doesn't always come from others. Sometimes it's something you decide for yourself. I turned the phone over and ignored it, focusing instead on the smell of toast and the warmth of morning light filling our kitchen. Emily joined me at the table with a letter in her hand. "Guess what?" she said, her eyes gleaming. I smiled. "Something good, I can tell." She handed me the envelope. It was from the university, the one she'd dreamed of since high school. "They accepted me," she said, almost whispering, as if afraid to break the moment. I stood up and hugged her tightly. "Emily, that's amazing." "You did it!" Her voice trembled a little. "I couldn't have done it without you, Mom." Tears welled in my eyes. "No, sweetheart. You did this because you're strong. You always were." Later that afternoon, after she left to meet a friend, I sat by my desk, a second-hand table near the window, and opened my journal. It had become my quiet companion, a place where I poured everything I'd been too afraid to say aloud. I wrote, "Forgiveness doesn't mean return," because it didn't. I had forgiven Mark and Lily in my heart, not for them, but for me. Carrying anger was too heavy, and I was done letting their mistakes live rent-free in my soul. But forgiveness didn't mean welcoming them back. It meant choosing peace over pain, wisdom over bitterness. The sun dipped lower as I worked on the small business plan Emily had helped me design, homemade candles and natural soaps. Simple things, but they gave me purpose. I'd already found a local shop that agreed to display them. It wasn't much, but it was mine. A fresh start in every sense. Sometimes the neighbors from our old street would visit my online shop. They'd leave kind messages. The same people who once whispered gossip now wrote things like, "You're an inspiration." Funny how strength changes people's memory of you. One evening, as Emily came home with groceries, she paused at the doorway, her face glowing in the golden light. "Mom," she said, smiling, "I'm proud of us." I turned to her, heart full. "Me too, sweetheart. Pain made us wiser." She set the bags down and hugged me, her voice soft against my shoulder. "You're not the same woman you were a year ago." I smiled through quiet tears. "Neither are you." We cooked dinner together. Nothing fancy, just pasta and salad, and laughed about the way our smoke alarm still went off every time we toasted bread. The laughter didn't sound forced anymore. It sounded real. Later that night, after Emily went to bed, I stepped out onto the balcony. The city hummed below, alive and calm. The wind carried the faint scent of jasmine from the neighbor's garden. I looked up at the stars, the same stars that once watched me cry, and whispered, "We made it." Peace wasn't loud or dramatic. It didn't announce itself with thunder or applause. It came quietly, like the steady rhythm of a healed heart. And as I stood there in the stillness, I realized something. Silence wasn't empty anymore. It was full of everything we had rebuilt: love, courage, and the quiet pride of two women who refused to stay broken. If you believe dignity always wins, share this story. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful tales of strength, courage, and justice.